Welcome to EngloStories. Today, we have a wonderful tale that will take you on an adventure of mystery, bravery, and justice. The Goose Girl is a classic fairy tale collected by the brothers Grimm, Jacob and Wilhelm, in the early 19th century in Germany. This enchanting story was first published in their famous collection, Children's and Household Tales, in 1812. Our story follows a gentle princess who faces terrible betrayal during her journey to meet her future husband. You'll meet a magical talking horse named Falada, witness the shocking exchange of identities, and discover how truth eventually finds its way to light. With themes of loyalty, courage, and justice, this tale has captivated audiences for generations. So sit back, relax, and let's dive into the magical world of the Goose Girl. Long ago in a peaceful kingdom, there lived a wise and kind queen who ruled with a fair hand. The queen had only one child, a beautiful princess with golden hair and a gentle heart. The princess was not only lovely to look at, but also possessed a kind and noble spirit that made everyone in the castle adore her. As the princess grew older, arrangements were made for her to marry a prince from a neighboring kingdom far away. The queen, though sad to part with her beloved daughter, knew this marriage would bring happiness to her child and strength to both kingdoms. The princess had a special companion, a remarkable horse named Falada. This was no ordinary horse. Falada could speak and had been the princess's trusted friend since she was a child. The horse was known for his wisdom and loyalty to the royal family. The palace stood tall on a green hill, its white towers reaching toward the blue sky. Gardens full of colorful flowers surrounded the castle, and fountains sparkled in the sunlight. Inside the palace, servants busily prepared for the princess's journey, packing her finest dresses, jewels, and gifts to take to her new home. The day of departure approached quickly. The princess spent her final days in the kingdom walking through her favorite gardens, visiting the village people she had grown to love, and having long conversations with her mother about the future that awaited her. On the day of the princess's departure, the queen prepared 3 special gifts for her daughter. First, a white handkerchief with 3 drops of the queen's own blood, which held magical protective powers. Second, a small golden cup for drinking water during the journey. And third, she assigned a chambermaid to accompany and serve the princess throughout the long trip. "My dear daughter," the queen said as they stood at the castle gates, "keep these gifts close to you. They will protect you on your journey." The queen embraced her daughter one last time, her eyes filling with tears. "Take care of Falada as well. He will be your loyal friend in your new home." The princess mounted her beloved horse Falada, and the chambermaid climbed onto her own steed. Together, they began the long journey across forests, mountains, and valleys toward the distant kingdom where the prince awaited. The princess carried her mother's gifts carefully, especially the handkerchief with the 3 drops of blood. As the days passed under the hot summer sun, the princess became very thirsty. "Please," she asked her chambermaid, "fetch me some water from that stream in my golden cup." But the chambermaid, who had grown increasingly disrespectful during their journey, replied rudely, "If you are thirsty, get off your horse and drink from the stream yourself. I will not be your servant anymore." Desperate with thirst, the princess knelt by the stream and drank from her hands, since the maid refused to give her the golden cup. As she bent down, the handkerchief with the 3 drops of blood, fell from her dress into the flowing water and disappeared. Without this protection, the princess became vulnerable to the maid's growing scheme. Later that day, the chambermaid demanded, "Give me your royal clothes and your horse Falada. From now on, you will be the servant and I will be the princess." The princess, having lost her mother's protective gift, had no choice but to obey. The cruel maid forced the princess to exchange clothes with her and take an oath never to reveal this secret to anyone at the new kingdom. If she broke this promise, the maid threatened to kill her. "I swear it," the princess said sadly, her heart heavy with fear and confusion. When they finally arrived at the prince's kingdom, the false princess rode proudly on Falada, while the true princess walked behind like a common servant. The false princess was welcomed with great celebration, while the true princess was assigned to work with a boy named Conrad, tending the royal geese outside the city. The false princess, fearing that Falada might reveal her secret, ordered the horse to be killed. "That old horse is unworthy of a princess," she told the king. "Please have him slaughtered immediately." When the true princess heard of this cruel plan, she secretly approached the royal butcher. "Please," she begged with tears in her eyes, "hang Falada's head by the gate where I pass each morning with the geese." The butcher, moved by her genuine sadness, agreed to her unusual request. Every morning, as the true princess passed through the gate with Conrad and the geese, she would look up at Falada's head and whisper, "Oh, Falada, there you hang." And the magical horse's head would answer, "Oh, princess, there you go." If your mother knew your fate, her heart would surely break with sorrow. Conrad found this exchange very strange, but didn't understand its meaning. The true princess had another remarkable ability. She could command the wind. Each day in the meadow where she tended the geese, she would remove her hat and let down her golden hair to comb it. The sight was so beautiful that Conrad wanted to pull out a few strands for himself. The princess would whisper, "Blow, wind, blow." Take Conrad's hat and make him chase it to and fro. Let him run and run until I have finished combing my hair and put it up again. Immediately, the wind would snatch Conrad's hat away, forcing him to chase it across the meadow. The old king, noticing these strange events from his window, became curious about the Goose Girl. One day, he followed her to the meadow and witnessed her conversation with Falada's head and her command over the wind. Sensing that something was not right, the king approached her gently after she returned to the castle. "Tell me, child," he asked kindly, "who are you really, and what has happened to you?" The princess replied sadly, "I cannot tell you, your majesty, for I have sworn not to reveal my secret to any living person." The wise old king thought carefully about the Goose Girl's answer. He understood that she was bound by an oath, but still wanted to help her. "Perhaps," he suggested gently, "you could tell your story to the iron stove in the kitchen. You would not be telling a person, and I might happen to be listening outside." Grateful for this clever solution, the true princess went to the kitchen when no one was around. She knelt before the iron stove and poured out her entire story, how she was a real princess, how the chambermaid had forced her to exchange places, how she had lost her mother's protective handkerchief, and how she had been living as a goose girl ever since. The old king, listening outside the kitchen, heard everything. With this knowledge, he devised a plan to reveal the truth and restore justice. He arranged a grand feast and invited all the court, including both the false princess and the Goose Girl. During the feast, the king asked the false princess what punishment should be given to someone who deceives their master. Not realizing she was condemning herself, the false princess replied confidently, "Such a person deserves to be stripped naked, placed in a barrel lined with sharp nails, and dragged through the streets by horses until dead." The king stood up and announced, "You have pronounced your own sentence. You are not the true princess." The king revealed the truth to the entire court, explaining how the chambermaid had stolen the true princess's identity. The real princess, still dressed in her simple clothes, was brought forward and properly introduced to everyone present. The prince, who had always felt something wasn't quite right about his supposed bride, looked at the true princess with wonder and immediate affection. The false princess received the punishment she had described herself. Though some versions of the story say the king showed mercy and merely banished her from the kingdom forever, the true princess was restored to her rightful position. Dressed once again in royal clothes, she married the prince in a beautiful ceremony. The kingdom celebrated for many days, and the old king became like a second father to her. Though Falada could not be brought back to life, the princess honored his memory by creating a beautiful golden statue of him in the palace gardens. The Goose Girl teaches us several important lessons. First, it shows that honesty is always the best policy. The chambermaid's deception brought her a brief moment of power, but it ultimately led to her downfall. This reminds us that lies, no matter how clever, will eventually be discovered. The story also demonstrates the value of patience during difficult times. The true princess endured her hardships with dignity and grace, never losing hope that justice would prevail. Her story encourages us to maintain our integrity even when facing challenges. Finally, the tale highlights how kindness and true nobility come from within. Despite losing her royal position, the princess remained kind and noble in spirit, proving that real character shines through regardless of outward circumstances. Thank you for joining us for today's EngloStories. If you enjoyed The Goose Girl, please like this video and share it with friends who are also learning English. What was your favorite part of the story? Let us know in the comments below. Follow EngloStories as we upload a story daily so that you can look forward to our next video. Until then, keep reading, keep listening, and keep improving your English.